Hey everybody, today I want to take you on a tour of my own deck and show you some of the planters that we put annuals in for our own enjoyment and give you kind of an idea of what we did and what the plants that we liked and the ones that we really loved this year. It's always fun to see them when they're all mature like this. So here's a look. So we'll start right here in the center. This is some Portulaca. Now the flowers do close up for the night when the sun starts going down, so you're not going to get much color, but look at the leaf on this. It's a nice succulent and nice and full, and we did just kind of cut this back last week, so it's been holding up really well. And there's an example, one of the flowers that's just kind of a ready closed one, but it gets a nice habit to it. Now over here is some king tut grass. You can see how huge that gets and how nice those plumes just arch out. Big giant kind of tufts at the top. We put that with some lemon coral sedum and some durabloom petunias. Between the tut grass and the lemon coral sedum, these petunias are just fighting their way through, and the durablooms, I've been really impressed with the flower on these. They are really strong and they really do hold up, but it is a little bit of a slow starter. They don't really start taking off until the sun starts coming out and it gets really hot. So we might not be doing that one again just because it's a little bit later growth. It does flower right away, but it doesn't get real big until later on in the season. So a little bit of question on that one. Over here we have the classic. This is the Supertunia Bubblegum Vista Petunia. And of course that one just always does well. We trimmed it back, probably could even be trimmed back even more. And then that's with some Gaura. So that's what this one is here. You can see how the flower looks on that. And this is one Gaura plant and it comes out, you know, up to here, and then it does kind of extend out. You could put two of them in there and that would have even made it more prominent in there. This one here has been really popular with the hummingbirds as well, because the Scivola, it's not the biggest hummingbird attractor in the garden, but they do always check it out, and that's with the Calliope coral geranium. And then we also put it with the new Medusa sweet potato vine, and that's really great texture. It's really thick and dense. It's a little bit of a slow starter as well, but it is a lot different than the other sweet potato vines, and it is a little bit slower to start. At least it was for us anyway. So we just have it facing out right now, but we kind of switch them around every couple days or every week or so. And I should say I actually mean my sister-in-law Liz. She does a great job of taking care of these when I'm in Posen. This one here really big with the hummingbirds. That's the Honeybell's Kufia right there. It's also known as the Cigar plant or the hummingbird plant, and it is just loaded with those little flowers that the hummingbirds go through, and they just go right around, all the way around the plant, and they will spend minutes every time they visit. And then we put that with some Mexican feather grass just for a little texture and a little extra height. And then over here, that is a Picasso and purple petunia. It needs a little more light to kind of bounce up. This one here, we did trim it back last week, so it's a little bit sluggish right now, but it is bouncing back. This is Lantana. Hummingbirds love this one. Beautiful pink color, and it's with the Hummingbird Falls salvia, and they love this kind of salvia. They go in there, they love those trumpets, they're all over it, and it's been really a hit with them. So really happy with that. But this salvia is a little bit more sensitive to water, so if you give it too much water, it doesn't do quite as well. So you kind of got to be careful and monitor that. Down here we have the illustrious Colocasia, an elephant ear. It's got that nice black leaf. And then this is is it Midnight? I can't remember the name of the petunia, the double one here, Midnight Gold, I think. That's been a really nice petunia, and it's with the bee's knees petunia. That's the yellow one. Absolutely gorgeous. This doesn't get quite as much light, so that might explain why we don't have quite as many flowers on it. And then it's right here next to a really nice, I think it's called the Clara Pink begonia, and that's just been flowering and flowering. This one was a bit more of an experiment. It looks a little funny right here. We probably should trim some of this back, but we've got the Heavenly Blue Petunia, which is doing fantastic. This here is the Callilophus. It's the Ladybird Sunglow Texas Primrose, and it has beautiful big yellow flowers. I love the feathery leaf. It isn't quite as noticeable in the baskets as we had hoped though, so it's not quite as showy, but when it does flower, and it has been flowering consistently, it just doesn't get tons of them when you compare it to some of the other plants, like when you compare it to that petunia. And then it's also with the unplugged pink salvia, and let me tell you, this has been a real beauty. Lots and lots of flowers on it, and the hummingbirds have been going crazy for it. And it's kind of like the Hummingbird Falls, where if it gets too much water, it does tend to kind of look a little off. But probably my absolute favorite combination this year is this one right here. This is the bee's knees petunia, that's the yellow one. And so this is a really great example of how vigorous that petunia is and how many flowers it gets. It's absolutely covered, and you can see that yellow still holds up. That's one of the things with yellow petunias, is a lot of times they don't hold up really well, but this yellow just keeps going and going and going. You only get a little bit of paleness around the edge, but it actually looks very, exactly how it's supposed to. So it's really beautiful, and that's planted with some Vermillionaire Kufia. So that's another one of those cigar plants or hummingbird plants, and the hummingbirds go crazy for this. This one has a little bit different habit than the other one, a little bit more branching, a little bit bigger flowers, but fewer of them, whereas the honeybells has a little bit thinner branches, a little bit smaller flowers, but more flowers. So it's just kind of an interesting to have the two of them. The hummingbirds spend time around both of them. So they spend a lot of time with the Kufia. They do visit all the petunias. They are all over the salvia and the scivola as well. So hey, this is my little oasis, and I do have to say thank you to Liz for all the care she takes when I'm in Posen, making sure that these get lots of water and lots of nutrition so they keep looking this good all season long.